On to our next segment. Unfortunately, we've had to change the next topic as Adrian Tan is unable to join us today and sends his regrets. I know he was really looking forward to being with us at the summit, and we wish him well in his recovery. We're most grateful, though, for Dr. Sien and for Jacob for swinging into action with a brand new and very pertinent topic, cancel culture. What does cancel culture mean to you, and how does it impact your role as a PR professional? So please welcome Dr. Sien Lai, CEO, American Chamber of Commerce, Singapore, and Jacob Puthumbarabil, founder and CEO of Redhill.
I don't know, I feel so sleepy. I think we should stand and do this. I think everybody should stand. Do you want to stand up for a few seconds? Because I don't know how long you've been sitting in this seat since lunch, and it's 3 o'clock, so I'm thinking you need to do some jumping jacks or do a little bit of dancing. I don't know.
I'm good.
How did I know? Yeah. I'm Jacob's sidekick. My name is Shen. I'm the CEO of the American Chamber of Commerce, and I have known Jacob for a number of years now. And you have spent some time with him already for most of the day. And the reason why I agreed to be his sidekick is simply because Jacob is so cool. Jacob is the guy who will wake me up at 5 or 6 a.m. and tell me I'm in the papers again. And my first thought is, what did I say, and am I in trouble? But it's a relief, because if Jacob is sending you a picture of yourself in the papers, you pretty much know if you're in trouble, he'll also help you get out of the jam. Yeah. So I'm very, very fortunate to have Jacob as a friend, not only because he's also incredibly generous on all fronts, as you can tell here, because he is the platinum sponsor today. So we're going to talk about cancel culture, also because Jacob is quite the expert on this. Hopefully not the action of canceling, right? No. Just the understanding of it. You want to sit?
Yeah, let's sit.
Okay.
Let's sit.
Right, so recently in Business Times, Jacob, you wrote an op-ed on cancel culture. I'm hoping some of you caught the op-ed. Did anyone read it? Well, I did. And one of the things that Jacob advises in it, which I want to ask you about first, and of course, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or go up to the mic. Audience answers are a priority. Questions are a priority for us. But there's one line you put in your op-ed with respect to cancel culture that I want to know more about. The difference is in the delivery. Tell us more about that.
Well, that article, the introduction and everything was about this gentleman who was with HSBC. And if he didn't deliver that presentation, and if he just attached it on his email and just send it to everyone, nobody would have any issue with that presentation. But the way he presented it and the changes he made in his delivery, the tone that he used and things. So there is a hyperbole about various topics going around. If you're caught on the wrong side of it, there are people who are looking to benefit from finding a villain. And he just fell into that trap. So that's what happened.
Yeah, it was interesting take in your op-ed, because it wasn't as if you disagreed with what he said in particular. You just really felt that he delivered it in the wrong way, in the wrong context. So I think from a cancel culture perspective, I suppose we have to bear in mind how we're actually delivering the message that we want to deliver. But honestly, I think today, I can't figure out why we're even calling it cancel culture anymore. Because a lot of what I see is actually simply criticism of folks who don't share my point of view, for example, or, you know, almost getting really personal with your insults, right? You have an opinion that differs than mine, and I'm just going to attack you down the line. So how did it come to be that we started calling it cancel culture?
Okay, these are my thoughts, not scientifically proven yet. But, okay, let's look at it this way. The world is getting more prosperous. If you go back 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you know, their average, what you call as poverty was $2 a day or things like that. Statistically, per capita income has risen. And if you look at the basic needs of people, it was food, shelter, your basic needs, and now internet connectivity and Wi-Fi and mobile access. And as more people started getting into the internet and social media, they have a voice, So there's a lot more people expressing opinion about a lot of things. And you can get lost into it, I spent, do some research, you could think of the most horrible thing and you can find your tribe on social media. There will be at least 10,000 people who, if you think today that the sun rises on the west, there will be 100,000 people who will agree with you. There will be communities for that. There will be everything for that. So as these hordes of people come online and express and this thing, they find views that are not agreeable to them. And when these great different tribes merge, they want to outvoice or shut or things out. The second aspect is that there is a search for validation. So if validation comes in two forms. One is that I have a particular view, and if I find people who agree with that, then I feel validated. Second validation is, you're a very famous person, I'm a nobody, and I just keep sending you messages why you're wrong, and if you tell me to shut up, I feel validated because somebody famous actually acknowledged my existence on this planet. So, so there are these different aspects that drives people to either cancel each other, mute each other, ban them, block them. I mean, there are legitimate reasons for doing it, but there are other reasons as well. I mean, in the corporate business sense, usually what we see in crisis comms, there is a playbook, And a lot of this has to also do with the change in media. Earlier, a journalist would spend time on a story, listen to both sides, investigate, and write a nice story so that his readers are well informed and they can form their opinion. But now it's opinion first, and then we will sort out all the details like evidence and everything else later. And then what that does is, it's even on important matters when it comes to, whether it's pro-choice or going to war or things like that, people have reduced it to supporting your favorite football team. So I agree with so-and-so person and I'm going to agree with everything he does. And there is no informed debate or opinion forming. So what we find in here is that if, let's say, corporate company A and corporate company B decide to fight over a latest product that's being launched, let's say that you're Sony and I'm somebody else and we're launching Blu-ray and VHS or whatever it is. And if there was social media, especially Twitter at that time, you would want to cancel anyone who likes VHS or this thing and say that these are the reasons and stuff like that, and get your bunch of influencers on your side. And then if somebody disagrees with you, then you don't attack back on the merits of why VHS or Blu-ray is good, but you go and say, oh, this guy went to this school, that school sucks, so he sucks. Or he'll say, this guy's from here, he's done this in the past, he's done this. So they'll just go after you to shut you up. So that's pretty much how cancel culture works, in my opinion. So I could be wrong.
So I want to make sure, I feel like maybe I've participated in canceling something or someone by accident. So I just want to ask a clarifying question. What kind of action actually constitutes canceling? So for instance, if somebody says, oh, this person sucks, and I like it, am I participating in the canceling? Or another example would be if I retweet or reshare this post about all the reasons this person sucks. So I'm also contributing to the canceling, right?
So here's the spoiler thing. Cancel never works. it never works. People have tried to cancel Twitter on Twitter, and their user numbers, tweets just keep rising. People have tried to boycott Israel, and that's been running for ages. It never works. So it shows a little bit of traction for a certain time, which meets the goals of certain vested interests, but it is not enduring. And it is, I don't want to call it a tactic, but it is something people push for short-term gains. And it's not something very simple. Cancel culture involves a lot of things. And some of the aspects of it is that, one, a lot more people are online now, so they have a lot more avenues to express their opinions and viewpoints and things. Second is that it also, I don't want to, I think emotional and mental well-being as well, especially when you see during COVID, is that you're stuck, you have nothing else to do. So there is one aspect where everybody is engaging in bake-offs and learning how to cook stuff and all these things. But sadly, there is also another aspect where people are deeply upset and they want to vent. And usually the venting is aided by targeting someone or something. So people who have and I can tell you from my personal experience, when I have friends, I do have friends, but I asked them, some of them have really strong opinion about, for example, Putin and Russia. And I'm like, have you ever been out of this, have you ever encountered a Russian? Have you ever done this thing? No. And why are you so engaged, so invested, and they genuinely get upset, discussing about a topic which has nothing to do with their lives. And it's just that they're bombarded with this information. Forget friends, even like my mom and my aunts and things, and I see them discussing on WhatsApp groups about what's happening in, X and Y country or this thing. And I'm like, how does this even come into your universe? But the thing is, they are just, especially during COVID, they're just bombarded with all this kind of information. And they have a view on how COVID started and then, what's the role of each country and what is the remedy and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, so it's, there's a lot of information, very few clarifications, and people do take advantage of this.
Well, there's a certain kind of relief to be able to participate in a group cancel, for example. How many of us at the office engage in regular gossip sessions about, a policy that you don't like, or you start to, come up with some theories about why the management or the company might be going in a certain direction, and you
over
just start
here,
spiraling.
All of you can answer except for this table.
Okay. Yes, your team, you never indulge in that kind of thing. But we also know that it's part of bonding, right? You bond on negative stuff, probably a little bit more on positive experiences, as much as we try to kind of tip the balance a bit in that positive direction. But I also think it's human nature, whether we call it cancel culture or not. And frankly, I feel like some people or some ideas or movements should be canceled. Don't you think? There's stuff that deserves to be canceled. For example, Putin invading Ukraine. I kind of think they deserve to be canceled. I don't know if the way people go about canceling stuff, like you said, actually works. And also, people have very short-term, interests. They have no attention span, so that ends. But of the audience, is there anything that you think actually deserves to be canceled and we should go after it? Anybody? Just shout them out. Elon Musk, it's coming. Anything else? Or racist, yeah. Shouldn't that get canceled? We should pile on racism.
Yeah, we should. But the thing is, how do you cancel racism? I wish it was that easy. There's a lot of things I would love to cancel. But what we're discussing here is that, one, we think that we can cancel racism by just saying cancel racism, hashtag, And then, like Putin, right? I can choose as a Singaporean company, we don't do business with Russian companies. We don't do business with Russians. We are not in their universe at all. So we have taken action. But do I want to, yes, a lot of companies put Ukrainian flags, support Ukraine, all these things. But we have taken action, and then we have to make a choice where we have to proceed with what is beneficial, that is helping Ukrainian businesses, involving them, growing forward, things like that. Or do you want to get into that thing where every day you're posting negative things about Russia? Every day you have to show something about Putin. Every day you're... That is not what we are built for. As an individual, I can have my own opinion, I can have my own thoughts, I can write op-eds, I can do all these things. But it is not an efficient use of my time to post 10 posts or 20 posts a day and get into fights with people on Twitter and social media, because it doesn't change anything. It would change if Putin is following me on Twitter and says, oh yeah, Jacob sitting in Singapore is upset with me, maybe I shouldn't have done this. It's not. He doesn't care. Most of the Russians won't even understand the language I'm posting in. So what is the most efficient use of our energy? Our most efficient use, we will feel great by doing all these things, but it's not having any impact. So what contribution do you want to make? Do actions that will actually make sense. And then if someone reaches out to you and says, hey, why haven't you taken this company on and that company on? Why doesn't your office in Dubai work with this company? We tell them that, as a Singaporean DNA company, we have certain things that we do and we don't do. So that way we need to express ourselves in that way, and that carries more gravitas, more this thing. So that brings us to a very interesting topic, that being active on social media, especially on cancel culture, against things we don't like, is often the easy way, the lazy way, than hard decisions and changes in your lifestyle or in your this thing. So if somebody were to post that racism is wrong and things, a lot of likes, retweets, things like that, but what action does it really say? I have seen personally, and you can do this research on your own, when somebody posts a fundraiser and you try to correlate the number of likes and shares and all that people do to the actual money donated, that ratio is usually 1 to 100. So people think they've done their bit by just like, retweet, and write 2 good words, and actually donating $1. So it's often, cancel culture is a lazy way out.
This is why I love talking to you, because you've given me a different perspective on how to engage effectively. I'll give you another example. Something that really, really irks me is to go on LinkedIn and see posts of conferences like this, and then see panel after panel of all men. So these manels. So I get on LinkedIn and I get outraged, and I don't want to be a nag, so I don't make a comment every time. But what I realized is, okay, whether or not I make the comment and make it public, almost like public shaming, that wasn't going to be effective, because like Jacob said, you just made me think this through. Publicly shaming them hasn't changed really anything. But what I realized I could do in my current role and capacity was to reach out to the organizers and say, and Ben is on my team and he knows we do this consistently, every person on my team knows to do this, where you say, hey, I noticed you had a bit of an issue finding women speakers for your event. Next time, how about I help you identify some women speakers, because the American Chamber of Commerce, we have access to so many different amazing people through the amazing members like Red Hill. And we can help you find a woman speaker next time so you don't run into this trouble with a male panel. So that's changed my thinking. And instead of, I still do it, you'll see me on LinkedIn where I'll be like, I don't understand why you're running a diversity event with a manel. Because I just feel like I have to, but it's probably not the best use
Manel is a
of my
word
time.
now, huh?
It's a total word, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We're making this a movement, but a movement so that we help each other not to create any more events where there's a predominance of male speakers, right? So thank you for that. Anybody have any questions or you want to share your opinion on this? Have you experienced cancel culture for yourself or your organizations?
We had a wonderful lunch followed by a meditation session. I
know,
perfectly
seriously?
understand that if they are all mentally just in a nice, calm, relaxing.
No, but I like to stir things up, and I think you too.
Yeah.
I'm
No, but-
perpetually outraged.
No, I'll add one more aspect here. One more aspect that people don't talk about is the role that self-interest plays in cancel culture. So it is in a lot of people's self-interest to run a successful cancel culture. Yeah. So we have experienced this through some of our clients, where someone was about to make a major announcement and things like that. Somebody wanted to derail it, so was on the verge of starting a campaign against one of their management team. So fortunately, we were able to get in early. We were able to, do things. See, if people are, this was a company which was attacked on its technology and things like that, and it just, somebody had a self-interest for this company not to succeed. And the way they picked on this was, let's get a story published and then just start a movement based on that, And they kind of succeeded initially, but then that company went on to raise a few $100 million and become successful. And 2 years down the line, I publicly tweeted and mentioned the journalist, the publication, and the people behind it. I said, you thought you won 2 years ago. Look where we are now. So what major damage was for that journalist? Because he's from a very leading publication, and his reputation was on the line. So the self-interest plays a huge role. People think this is the best way to, even there are my daughter's in secondary school and things like that, but there is a vocabulary now there, not that I'll cancel you, but I'll make you viral. You see two people fighting in a queue at Kopitiam and things like that. That's what they say to each other. I'm going to make a video and I'm going to make you viral, and that's a camera, and yeah. I mean, it's great entertainment. I watch it all the time, but is it going to change anything, do anything? I really don't know. So there's a lot of self-interest. And self-interest also goes to who posts first, who sends out this video. So as a lot of this content is created, the filtration levels goes down. So in my family WhatsApp groups and all these things, I tell all of them that before you post anything public, just check it with me. It serves as great research for me because I get to see all this firsthand. But yeah, people need to be aware what they are saying and putting out in public, which makes a big difference.
Self-interest and self-promotion. I
Yeah.
mean, now kids just want to be famous for the heck of it, right? Without doing anything. Please, go ahead.
An observation, less than a question, but I'd love to hear you comment on this, Jacob. So as you were speaking, I was thinking about hitting them where it hurts in the wallet. So for example, way back when ExxonMobil had its disaster in Alaska with oil spilling everywhere, hundreds of thousands of consumers in America cut up their credit card from that petrol station and mailed them back, went to the trouble of putting cut up credit cards into an envelope and posting them back to let the company know what they thought. 5 or 6 years ago when Uber was still here in Singapore, I felt offended by the bro culture and the CEO's behavior, and I deleted the Uber app. I will add that I have reinstalled it when I've traveled because I find the new CEO far more palatable. But I just wonder what your thoughts are around that, because the information I got about a certain organization could also be filtered, and I could be trying to hit them economically based on a limited set of data.
Yeah, can I answer that? Yeah,
It's directed at you, Jacob.
Oh, okay. So, moderator rules. Sorry. So, before we get into hitting them at the wallet, what you experience right now is a topic called, from my internet research, is social psychology. Yeah, where, and this is grown more into prominence thanks to social media. So what happens is we're influenced by all these thoughts and opinions, and we are called into action. Cutting up credit cards, deleting your app, just like with Twitter, deleting Twitter, I'm going to go on this, I'm going to go on that. It doesn't even make a dent, because the economic power that you're looking at, the kind of duopoly and oligopoly that these platforms have, it's very difficult to make that. You can do it as a, your personal belief, and you say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. And if you did it out of your personal belief, because of your things and stuff like that, then you would stick with it for far longer. Yeah. If let's say South Africa was still apartheid, and if I ever come across a product that says made in South Africa, I wouldn't. I mean, I would be upset if India ever played cricket with South Africa or engaged in anything if that was, that was the rule. But on social media, a lot of this social psychology comes into play, where we think we can all assemble together and do a simple action, again, a lazy action, which doesn't make any impact. I think it was just a year ago, somebody had this brilliant idea not to use straws. Remember, like McDonald's, Subway, everywhere, no plastic straws. Everybody was into, ban the straws, this, and then McDonald's will give you a cup, with a plastic top, but not a plastic straw. Yeah, and I was like, what is this? And a few years ago, there was also, remember, people all around the world throwing ice water over their head, ice water bucket challenge. What is that even for? And it's just social psychology. It's just getting people to do these things, and it's great for running a campaign. I think the agency who did it won an award, but it doesn't make any difference. If you want to make a difference, it has to come out from what your beliefs are. Sorry, yeah.
I'm not sure if she's a timekeeper or if she has a question. Go ahead.
I think it'll be faster if you come on that side. Sorry. Yeah.
Hi. Oh, hi. Okay, so my name is Melissa. I'm representing the Murdoch University student chapter. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to share that I quite agree with what Jacob said. And as a Gen Z, the way I see cancel culture is that it is truly an easy way out. We don't want to address the issues. We feel uncomfortable talking about what are the issues within this thing that makes us join cancel culture, right? So instead of doing that and addressing these issues, we just join everybody else and completely just, boycott or, today's what they do is cancel culture lah. So I feel like that's something that we should reflect on as we move forward, and even for PR practitioners to see what cancel culture really means and to reflect on it and think about what we can do to improve and change this. Yeah.
Thanks. Before I comment on that, see, Mary, Gen Z people agree with Daddy. Just note to my daughter. So one aspect of what you said is very true. Especially amongst Gen Z, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of conviction. I feel sad when they find this easy way out. Yeah. And when I was growing up, this is 25 years ago, we all had political beliefs. And our political action involved actually going on the street, doing something to draw attention of the government. And I've seen luckily or cowardly, not me, but my friends, who have actually gotten beaten up, thrown in jails and things like that. And for them, that was based on their conviction, that was based on their thing. Now you don't see that. People are just like, yeah, I agree with you, let's retweet and like and all that. And then somebody with a tool somewhere is going to say, oh, people are going to say this. I'll also give you a business-wise example. And I think this is something we talked about, I think either yesterday or one of those 5 a.m. Exchanges. A lot of smart companies, including a few of our clients, have figured out that you don't have to listen to everybody. Yeah? I can't take names, but there are some companies, large airlines, consumer-facing companies, who have Twitter accounts, but they do not engage with anybody. It is just for updates. Because the minute you engage, you get all kinds of people who are not even, I'll give you a real life example, Qatar Airways. You know, they had decided to make a statement regarding some issue that happened in India. And hordes of people just came and started writing nasty things about Qatar Airways. And then the Qatar Airways CEO made a statement saying, we are delighted with all these responses from people who will never fly our airline. You know, so what's the point of responding to them? So you need to understand that there are, yes, respect everybody's voices, respect what they have to say, but you don't have to get into conversations and everything. And that's when I see proposals or RFPs where you have to community management, and you know, some guy just tags your company's name and then there's an automated response saying, so sorry you had this experience, please DM us and we will get back to you. He must be mentioning some random thing about your company, and then why engage in responses? So, and even the discussion we were having yesterday at a different event, you know, if you look at the political dialogue, yesterday was the US elections and our discussions were on that, and there are people with weird views on the political spectrum. People who will express all kinds of extremist views and all. You don't have to engage. You engage them, you're validating them. And then you're actually, you know, like, don't feed the trolls, you're just feeding them into this thing. So they love it. It's like fighting with a pig, you know. You get dirty and they enjoy it. So just stay away from it.
Okay, well, on that note, let's validate Jacob by giving him a round of applause.
As if I need some more.
Thank you so much, everyone. Love to have an extended conversation about cancel culture without canceling anyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob, and thank you, Dr. Yen.